Hi, Year 8. So for this week's prep, you will learn how to calculate resistor values so that you can place them in the correct positions when you're soldering your circuit board for your speaker. So can you all turn to this page in our booklet and write down the learning objective. Pause the video now and write down the learning objective. Fantastic. So this is a resistor value table. So this is our Bible when we're trying to calculate our resistor values when we see a resistor in front of us. Now you'll see that in the table you've got lots of different colors on the left, and then you've got the second column you've got first band, third column you've got second band, the fourth column you've got the third band, fifth column you've got your multiplier, and in your last column you've got the tolerance. These will all make sense in a short while. So all of our resistors that we have got 4 different coloured bands. So the first one on the left is band A, so the first band. The second band is the third column. The third band, this is where it gets a bit confusing. Because we've only got 4 bands on this resistor, we need to ignore this band in the table. So I'm going to blank it out. So that means that our first band comes from this column, our second band comes from this column, our third band, which for us is our multiplier, comes from the multiplier column, and then finally the last band is our tolerance. So, before we continue, I need to explain what this little symbol is in the multiplier column. That is the symbol for ohms, O-H-M-S. Ohms is the measure of resistance. So whenever we are calculating resistor values, we need to always add in ohms so that we know we're talking about resistance. Okay, so what do we do to calculate the resistance? The first 2 steps is really simple. So for band A and band B, all we do is write down the number that we see in the corresponding colour in the first 2 columns. And we don't do any maths in between those numbers, we just write them next to each other. So band A is brown. So what number do we see in band A where there is brown? 1. So we are going to write down 1. The second band is red. So we need to look at the second column, the second band column, and we need to find red, which is here. And that is 2. So we just write 2 next to the 1. Now that gives us 12. So we're not adding, we're not times, or we're not multiplying in between those numbers. We're just writing them next to each other to get a 2-digit number, which is 12. After that, we're going to times it by our third band, and the number we times it by comes from the multiplier column. So the third band is brown, and that gives us 10 ohms. So what is 12 times 10? That's right, it's 120, but we need to make sure we add in ohms at the end. This is not the final answer because we've got one last band. This is our tolerance band. So this will tell us how many percent up or down the resistance can change for the resistor to be able to work. So our band color is gold. So we need to look in the tolerance column, the very last column, down to gold, and that gives us 5%. So we write down 5% afterwards. So the resistance for this resistor is 120 ohms with a tolerance of 5%. Okay, so can everybody get their prep book out in front of them? And we are going to do these ones together. So, the first example, we have got green, blue, orange, and then gold. Where am I going to get the number for green from? Say it to your screen. If you said from the first band column, you're correct, and green is 5. So our second band is blue. Say to the screen where you're going to find the number for blue. That's right, in the second band. So we're going to go to 6, which is blue, and we're writing them next to each other. Remember, we're not doing any maths in between these numbers. We're just going to write them next to each other so that we have a 2-digit number. So we've got 56 now. What are we going to do to this 56? If you said we're going to times it by the next band, you are correct. So we're going to put a times sign, and then we're going to find what multiplier orange is. Where do we find that multiplier? If you said from the multiplier column, you're right once again. And what we see here is 1k ohms. Do you know what 1k means? If you said 1000, you are correct. If you ever see a k next to a number, that means you have to add 3 zeros to it. So you times it by 1000. So 1 times 1000 is 1000 ohms. So what's the first part of our answer? 56,000 ohms, because we've times 56 by 1000 ohms. Is that our final answer? I hope you said no, because that is correct. Because we still have one band left. This final band, which is the tolerance, and it's gold. Where do we find the tolerance from? If you were thinking this last column where it says tolerance at the top, you are right. And gold is 5%. So our final answer is 56,000 ohms with a tolerance of 5%. Hopefully we're getting used to how we're calculating these resistors. We've got 2 more examples before you do a bit of independent practice of this skill. So the next one here, we've got red, red, brown, gold. Try to answer this one on your own to begin with. So pause the video here and try to calculate the resistance of that resistor. Awesome. So let's go through the answer. So red is our first band, so we get it from the first column, and we go down to red, which is 2. Writing down 2. The second band is red again, so we go to the second band column, and we find red, which is 2. So now we've got 22. We're going to times that by our third band, which is our multiplier, which is brown again. In the multiplier column, brown is 10 ohms. So what's 22 times 10? 220 ohms. Our answer is not complete. We know that because we haven't added in our tolerance. The tolerance of this resistor is gold because the band is gold. So we go to our tolerance column and we go down to gold, which is 5%. So the final answer is 220 ohms with a 5% tolerance. Okay, final one before you do your independent practice on your own. So this resistor, we've got brown, black, yellow, gold. Pause the video here, have a go at calculating the resistance value, and then play when you're ready. Fantastic, so let's go through the answer. Brown is our first band, so in the first band column, brown equals 1. Black is our second band, so in our second band column, black is 0. We need to write down 0. It doesn't mean that it's nothing, it means that the value is 0. So that gives us 10. So we're going to times this by our multiplier, which is yellow. And in our multiplier column, yellow is 10k ohms. What is 10k? If you said 10,000, you are right because you times the number by 1,000. So we've got 10,000 ohms. So what is 10 times 10,000 ohms? If you put down 100,000 ohms, you are correct. And then we need to add in our tolerance. It's gold yet again. We know that gold is 5%. So the final answer is 100,000 ohms with a tolerance of 5%. If you are a bit stuck with how to do these resistance values, what I would suggest is go back in the video, re-watch the first half, and then try these. If you are confident that you know how the process works, I would like you to pause the video here and then in your prep book write down the resistance values for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. The bottom left one says 4 as well. It's meant to be 5. That's my mistake. So all of the colours for each band are above in order. So for the first one it's brown, black, brown, gold. So pause the video here, attempt calculating the resistance values, and then we will go through the answers at the end. Fantastic. If you're watching this part of the video, that means you have given it your best shot at calculating these resistance values. So let's go through the answers and see whether you have got them right. So for number 1, the resistance is 100 ohms with a tolerance of 5%. Give yourself a tick in green pen if you got it right. If you got it wrong, make your green pen corrections. Question 2, 220,000 ohms with a tolerance of 5%. So do your green pen corrections here, or give yourself a tick if you got it right. Question 3 is 47,000 ohms with a tolerance of 1% this time. Question 4 is 5,300 ohms with a tolerance of 2%. Number 5, which is the bottom left one where I made the error, is brown, black, gold, gold. And that is a tolerance, that is a resistance of 1 ohm with a 5% tolerance. And then finally we've got number 6, which is 27,000 ohms with a tolerance of 2%. Well done for completing this part of the prep. The next part of your prep will be a Show My Homework quiz. So jump on over to Show My Homework and complete the quiz. Remembering that you need to be getting at least 75%. So my advice is, if you get under 75% on the first one, go back to your notes and have a look through your work from the last few weeks, and then attempt do the quiz the second time, and until you get at least 75%. Thank you for watching, everyone. I will see you in our next lesson. Goodbye.